Appointments Unleashed. Just having a bit of a sip of my coffee as we do this. So let me just, where is everybody? All right, good to see people jumping on. Miles, good to see you here. Dave Noah, always nice to see you here. Looking awesome. Actually had a conversation about you today. Mutual friend, ears are buzzing in those cans of yours. So Howard, good to have you here. We're going to have a few people jump on here in just a second. I know there are going to be some people. Mark, good to have you here. For those of you who are watching us live on the interwebs, how you doing? Ivan, good to have you here. Nice to have you here. So yesterday we covered about 14 different strategies to generate appointments. 14. I actually counted them up. 14 ways to go and get appointments. Several ways to message. Several things to do. We talked a little bit about mindset stuff in terms of what we focus on, what we're committed to, what we need to do to generate a consistency of outcome in terms of generating appointments. So we covered a lot of ground in yesterday's training. Today, I don't want to break up the structure and the psychology of appointments and talk a little bit about the tools that we can use to leverage our appointments. And I want to talk about the last thing I want to talk about today is imagine setting up a predictable system, like a system that's just like clockwork, where you know that you're constantly engaging the idea of asking people to get onto your calendar. And the idea is ultimately to get to a situation where you're getting 1 to 3 people per day responding and saying, yeah, let's get into your calendar, right? And so that means that we're actually setting up a process. And yesterday I talked about that concept of what we focus on most. And so there's a couple of ways that you can actually do this. One is a volume play. The second one is you can be a little bit more targeted in how you can actually approach this. So I'm going to kind of walk you through both these concepts. And if you work towards setting this up, then you will never be hungry for appointments again. You're always going to have a calendar with people who are interested in talking to you to look at the opportunity you have. But without that process, without that structure, then obviously you're going to be left to the mercy of your attention, right? So the idea is to set up a process so it doesn't involve you to do this. Now, I want to talk about it from the perspective of not spending money on advertising, right? Because one of the easiest ways, if you want to generate appointments, the easiest thing is have a good lead magnet, have a converting offer that basically, if you're going to do a lead ad on Facebook, which are very inexpensive, they tend to be relatively inexpensive. And a lead ad, the challenge where a lot of people struggle with lead ads is they actually mismanage the lead. The very thing that our customers do to leads, we do ourselves, right? We don't realize that when we have a lead ad that we actually need to build that relationship, build that indoctrination to get the person on the phone. So we're playing a game of elimination. So if you're looking at the fastest way to get appointments, run an ad. Put $1,500 to advertising, $30, $40 a day or $50 a day to run ads for just lead ads, you're going to get a lead. You're going to get people coming in, and your cost of that lead is going to be anywhere between the low end, maybe $7, at the high end, maybe $15 would be at the high end. So if you think about that, 10 leads is going to cost you $150. Anywhere between $50 and $150 is roughly where 10 leads will cost you. Now the game, because this is a lead where the person said, I want to chat, I'm interested in chatting, the game you have to play to convert that lead into a conversation is that, hey, can I help you? You are after this, or you downloaded this lead magnet. You're obviously interested in doing some Facebook ads or AdWords or whatever it is that you're advertising, right? Best thing we could do to help you out here is to get on a call. Here's a little bit about us. Here's what we do. Here's who we help. Here's what the results are in terms of when we work with people. The best way to work with us is to just have a quick chat. Can we get on a chat? Now, you're going to ask a lead ad anywhere between 8 to 16 times to get on that chat. But you are going to have hundreds of leads to do that with. You're going to have hundreds of leads to do that with. So the game that you're playing, if you're paying for leads, the game that you're playing is to eliminate people, to disqualify them, right? So what you're doing is this strategy, it's a fast way of making appointments, right? Have a converting offer. What could a converting offer be? right? Something that's very relevant to your market, something that's going to help them, something that's a give that you can actually give and say, yeah, I want to know more about getting effective appointments from Facebook, or yeah, I want to know more about better ways of converting the leads that are crappy right now on Facebook, whatever your lead magnet is. So if we looked at that framework, and I'll share my screen in just a moment. To me, that's the fastest way. And then what we've got to do is we've got to understand two metrics. There's only two metrics that we need to understand in Facebook, right? The first metric is the click-through rate on the opt-in, the click-through rate on the opt-in. So click-through rate on the link, right, that they're clicking. That's the first. Your conversion rate to that's got to be around 1% or more. 1% or more, you've got a great converting offer. 1% or more on the click-through link, right? Not click-through rate, the link, the people actually hit the link for the offer, right? So click-through rate is not the link. That's the wrong metric. Click-through rate on the link. That's one metric. If it's 1% or above, you're golden, right? You've got a good convert. You've got an offer that is actually converting. 1% or above, right? The second most important number in Facebook advertising or any form of advertising is how much money do you have to invest before you actually convert one sale? How much do you have to invest before you convert a sale? Most people look at things like cost per appointment. Generally, in the marketing game, somebody's got their, let me just very quickly mute, somebody has got their microphone on. Hopefully that'll mute. Yep, that worked. All right. What happens in the lead gen process of advertising for leads, what most people focus on is how much is it costing me per opt-in, or how much is it costing me per appointment, right? How much it costs me per opt-in? These two numbers are completely irrelevant. We want to work towards reducing the numbers, but that's not the number we need to pay attention to. The only number that we need to pay attention to is how much money are we investing to actually convert a sale, right? How much money are we investing to actually convert a sale? Good to see you here. Miles, Steve, nice to have you here. Jerry, good to have you here. Brandon, good to see you here, right? So it's not about cost per opt-in. It's not about cost per appointment. It's about cost per sale. So let me break down the numbers for you, right, in what I'm talking about. So on average, depending on how good your offer is and how good your lead magnet is, or whatever your lead ad is, right, on average, you're going to be paying between about $150 to $250 for an actual appointment that shows up. So between $150 and $250, about that's the range, between $150 to $250, right, that you're going to pay for an appointment, not for a lead, not for an opt-in and not for a lead, for an appointment, right? So on average, you're probably going to be spending anywhere between $20 to $30, right? If we looked at an average total, right? So your conversion rate is going to be sitting around that. If you've got a 25% conversion rate to an appointment, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right? So think about it this way, right? 150, you can go, I know people are doing this for $80. I know people are doing for less, like $50. That's all about dialing your offering. But if we were looking at the average conversion to a lead ad on Facebook, we're probably looking at about between $150 and $250, right? So now, if your conversion rate to sale is 1 in 5, so this is an appointment that actually shows up to do business, to listen to you. This is an appointment that shows up, right, to talk to you about your offer, right? So if we've got, let's say 5 people, well, 5 times 150 or 5 times 250 is $1,250, or $950 is roughly what it's going to cost you to make a sale if you've got a 1 in 5 conversion rate. So oftentimes I ask people in the agency world that if it costs you $1,250 for a sale, would you spend the $1,250 to get that sale, right? I've got a whole bunch of people here joining the Zooms. If you're in my feeds, just go to appointmentsunleashed.com and jump into Zoom. But for those who are with me on Zoom, if I said to you, based on your average sale, think about your average sale, what you sell your services for, what your customer spends. If I said to you, if it costs you $1,000 to buy a customer to invest in what you're selling, who would give me a thumbs up and spend that $1,000? Right? Think about how much you charge for your services, and it's going to cost you $1,000 to buy that customer, to buy your services. Who would give me a thumbs up and spend that $1,000? Right? Like most people should be having their thumbs up right now, right? Because you think about it, your average sale is 10 grand, 20 grand. If you're charging 1,500 bucks a month and the client stays with you for a year, that's $18,000. Who would drop a grand to pick up an $18,000 client? All day long, right? I do it every day of the week, right? Now, let's say the client doesn't stay with us for a year, they only stay with us for half a year. Who would still spend $1,000 to pick up $9,000 worth of revenue? Who would do that? Thumbs up. $1,000 to pick up 9 grand, right? We're all in, right? Now, let's say the client stays with you for 3 months, right? Now we're getting down to the pointy end, right? So let's say the client hangs out with you for 3 months. They're paying you $4,500 in cash over a 3-month period. Give me a thumbs up if you'd still spend $1,000 on that customer. I would. It's a 3 to 1. It's a 4 to 1, right? I'm still making profit. If I think about my service offering as a service-based business, and if my gross profit margins are about 70%, which is 3 grand of that $4,500, I would have been making $2,000 gross profit, $2,000 worth of gross profit for every $1,000 that I spend. That's a 3 to 1 return on gross profit. That's a no-brainer, right? And that's how you need to think about marketing or advertising to generate leads. So it's really easy. I can give you a myriad of examples of lead magnets. I can give you a myriad of examples of ads to run for lead ads. All you need to do is Google lead ads for agencies, and there's a million examples of ads that already work to generate leads on autopilot, right, into your funnel, whatever your funnel is, right, to generate leads. And you can pay, if you get it right, you can pay as little as $80. I've seen somebody pay, I've seen that people pay as little as $40, right, as little as that, which is pretty dialed in terms of a campaign. But you can have all leads you want. Now, here's the thing. You've got to manage the leads. So if you want bucket loads of appointments, you've got to have a system to manage those leads. How do we manage those leads in our world? We automate, right? We have the landing page, we have the appointment setting system, we have the emails that fire off to get them into the appointment system. We've got the process. We know the deal. We know how to actually do this. Setting that system up, you could probably do that in less than 2 hours or 3 hours. It's not hard to do. To set up that type of automated process where you're investing in advertising, some people advocate using a video sales letter. Well, video sales letters are not that difficult to produce, but you've got to think about the content, the context, the questions you're answering, the testimonials or the case studies you're going to include, the evidence that they show, that you show or demonstrate that you know what you're talking about to solve that problem. And you're conveying that message in a message between 11 minutes to about 20 minutes is about as long as you want to go. 15 minutes is probably about the sweet spot for a VSL, a video sales letter. So there's a myriad of places where you can get free video sales letter templates on the internet, on the interwebs, right? Download them and create your own video sales letter. So in terms of if we were automating the process of having an abundance of leads and we're willing to put money to it, then you can go home now. We've just solved your problem of filling up your calendar with a whole bunch of leads, right? So if it were that easy, John, everybody would be doing it, and that's right. If it were that easy ever doing it, there are some complexities, so it takes time. You want to put together a webinar or a VSL or a landing page, that's going to take time. It's probably going to spend, you're probably going to spend 2 or 3 weeks scripting that out. You're probably going to spend another 2 weeks figuring out all the automations to make sure the automations work. Then you're going to spend another 2 or 3 weeks figuring out the ad spend to do that. And before you know it, you're 3 months in and you haven't even generated an appointment, right? And so you've invested 3 months of your life to do that. I would rather you not invest 3 months of your life doing that. I'd rather you, if you've got a dialed-in system, that's awesome. If you haven't got a dialed-in system, then you've got to look at other alternatives that are going to start a consistency of just setting appointments or generating appointments. So I want to talk about, so advertising is not that difficult. You just got to have a lead ad is probably the best, easiest ad to run. It's the cheapest ad to run. You're asking for details. Name, company, you want the company's name so you know you're dealing with business people, right? You need an email address, and if you're asking, ask for a phone number so you can call the person, right? And that's going to go into a spreadsheet, and you're going to call and say, hey, thanks for applying. You're dealing with inbound leads, right? This is what you do when you buy inbound leads. It's not hard to do, right? Relatively easy to dial in. You just got to manage that process. But the number you're looking for is the click-through rate on the link, right? That's the conversion. 1% or above, you know you've got a good deal, good ad, good converting ad, 1% or above. The next number that you need to think about is not cost per lead and not cost per appointment. It should be cost per acquisition. If I know the cost per acquisition number, I can print money. You can print money. If you know the cost per acquisition, you can print money. In our agency, running at $40 million, $45 million revenue right now, we know it costs $4,752 as of the other day, $4,752 to acquire a $60,000 customer. How many people would spend $5,000 to pick up a 60 grand deal? Thumbs up. If you knew you can get 60 grand for a $5,000 deal, you'd do it. And guess what? That's what we're printing, as we're writing as many checks as we can to generate those outcomes, if that makes any sense, right? So that's something that you want to be mindful of. If you want to generate appointments, easy way to do, run some ads. Run it to a lead magnet that's relevant and converts. Look for that 1% conversion rate and click-through. You know you're on the right spot. Make sure that you're actually getting people to the appointment. You're following up all the leads that you're getting. You're asking for a simple question of give me the phone number, give me the email, give me the company, so you can do a little bit of checkout, and then have your process to sit down and have that conversation. Say, okay, great. Why are you calling us? Why is this important? Why is this relevant? Let's take the next step. Let me show you how we work together, and you walk people through your process. That gets them in your sales process. So getting appointments or filling your appointment calendar from a paid traffic point of view isn't really that difficult. Isn't really that difficult. There's lots of sources you can go to. The key here, you've got to spend the money. Now, here's why people don't spend the money, right? It's really, really weird, right? I know people, and I've experienced this myself. I have a friend of mine, Frank. Frank said to me one day, he says, John, I get people spending 30, 40, 50 grand with me to teach them how to market their business. And yet they won't put $100 towards a paid ad. They'll spend $30,000 to $50,000 learning how to do business, how to learn how to write copy and marketing and all that sort of stuff, but they won't drop a lousy $100. And Google gives you $100 for free, right, in credit to run some ads to get some leads. They won't spend that money. So I'll spend the money to do the learning, but they won't spend money to do advertising because they're afraid. They're afraid of what might not happen. And that is that they'll spend a lot of money and not get any leads, right? And so that means that whatever you're doing at that level, you have to understand the strategy, right? Before you spend any money on marketing or advertising promotion, what is your strategy? What is the process? It's not unlike that there is a process and a strategy for generating appointments, right? It's the same thing. So there is a formula to follow, right? We've got to test something that's going to engage. We've got to know what the problems are with our market. It's the same thing when we look at dealing with generating appointments for our clients, right? One of the things we do is we need to know our customer, and most people don't know their customer enough. The reason why I know this, I talk to people all day, say, yeah, I serve the chiropractor, it's great. So tell me a little bit about the practices you're working with. What's their conversion rate to a patient who's coming in for inquiry? What's their average plan of care? What's the sales cycle? How often, do they have mechanisms to generate referrals? Do they have a train? Do they train their people in reception to do these things? I don't know, right? Most people don't know their market, and it's going to be really hard to help anybody if you don't get them. And they're going to know, by the way, they're going to know if you don't get them. They're going to know if you don't understand, if you don't get them. So the number one thing is you really, really got to do the homework on understanding who it is you're doing business with and what some of their issues are, right? You've got to know what the issues are. And so the best way to do that is to kind of ask questions, right? Lots and lots of questions so you learn, right? Look at the benchmarks in the industry. There's plenty of places to give you benchmarks. There's plenty of resources that provide you with industry information about where an industry is heading right now. There's ibisworld.com, there's Forrester Research, there's Jupiter's. There's a whole bunch of people out there who've already done all the homework on every niche in the market and are giving you statistical and analytical reports on trends, on history, on current, on future projections. Information is coming directly from the industry. You can Google that. That's all free, right? Yesterday, we talked about, well, how do I know how much money an average client spends? Well, we go to Google and we ask, how much money does a client spend on this product or service? How much should I be paying? Or how much would they be paying, right? What are the good ones? What are the medium ones? What are the average ones, right? If you want to terrible architect or a lowball architect, they're going to charge you $100 an hour. If you want a really good architect, somebody who's been in the game, knows what they're doing, build hundreds of buildings and worked on major projects, well, they're going to charge you like $400 or $500 an hour. Or they're going to charge you 5% of the build, right? $1 million home, $50,000 architectural bill, right? $10 million building, $500,000 architectural bill, right? We know by doing some homework and understanding, right? Then we've got to find out how if we're in the business of improving business, there are 3 areas that we can make an improvement on in the business. There are actually 5 kind of drivers, but there's 3 areas that we work on. One area is that how do they acquire their customers? What are the strategies and systems and the process right now that they acquire their customers? We need to understand that, right? Number 2 is what do they earn? What is the wallet share per client, right? So what are the product categories that they sell? Because some companies or lots of businesses have multiple product categories. If you're in the service business, you'll have multiple product categories, just like you have multiple product categories that you provide as a service to your clients. If you don't, then you're missing out on revenue. There's a clue there, right? So we want to know what is the average spend of a client. What is the average spend of a client right up front? What is the average spend of a client over a period of time, lifetime value, right? So for example, if let's say auto servicing, right? You probably get your car serviced twice a year, right? Depending on what type of car you have, there's going to be a service cost and there's going to be a parts cost. If I went to a BMW service center and I would ask them what is the cost of an average major service, they would say roughly about $800, right? What is the cost of a regular service? They might say, well, it's like $350. Client does that twice a year. The client's at service cost level, right? They maybe do one major service and one standard service. The client's worth $1,100 a year, right? If the client owns the car for 5 years and keeps coming back, the client's going to spend $5,500 in service costs plus parts, right? For mechanical servicing, right? So there's going to be, so a service center knows how much a client spends on their pricing categories and how often they spend it and how long do they stay. If you can understand that, then you can understand how you can impact on the business. The third thing that you want to understand from a business point of view is frequency. How often does a customer buy and how long does a customer stay? How often does a customer buy and how long the customer stays? So one of my mentors, a guy called Joe Girard, he was recognized as being one of the greatest salesmen in the world, held the world Guinness Book of Records for the most car sales in a year ever. And he would sit there and say, every person that buys a Cadillac from me is worth $300,000. So it might cost you 50 grand to buy a Cadillac from Joe, but you're going to spend another $250,000 on Cadillacs if you buy a Cadillac from Joe, because he knows that he's going to sell you a Cadillac, he's going to sell your brother a Cadillac, he's going to sell your cousin a Cadillac, he's going to sell your mother a Cadillac, he's going to sell your friends, neighbors a Cadillac, he's going to sell Cadillacs to everybody in your sphere of influence, right? So he knows on average for every customer that buys a Cadillac from him, you have a price tag, a revenue tag over your head. When Joe sees you, you are not a $50,000 or $70,000 Cadillac buyer. You are a $300,000 Cadillac customer. Now, if he knew that, Joe treats you very differently than from the average car salesperson, because you have greater discretionary impact on revenue. So it's about frequency, right? How often, right? And who do you bring into the business, right? What is the lifetime value? How do you increase that relationship? How do you make sure you keep that customer coming back forevermore? So the question that you have to answer for yourself is how, as a digital marketer, how does what you do impact on the acquisition of a customer? How does what you do, how that can have an impact on the per purchase, the revenue per purchase, and how do you impact on frequency? How does what you do impact on frequency, right? So I'm going to give you this from a Facebook perspective, and I'll choose a professional service-based business, right? So I'm going to pick on accountants because they're just easy to pick on, right? No disrespect to any accountant who's watching this video. I have a great deal of love and respect because you guys help me minimize my tax liabilities, and I love you for that. You're awesome. So this is no disrespect to accountants out there. I just have to preface there because this video is going out to the public and I don't want accountants to hate me. right? So anyway, let's say I'm going to run a Facebook ad. So how is my Facebook advertising going to have an impact on an accounting practice? Well, depending on what I offer, what my strategy is, an accountant is a specialist. They're an advisory. They sell advice. They sell compliance. They sell a service to do things like tax. They do things like auditing. They do forensic accounting. They do things like investment, planning, strategy. They do structure. There's all these things an accountant does, but the majority of accountants sell a service, and that general service is compliance, tax. When I talk to an accountant, the last thing they want is another tax client. I got plenty of those. I don't need any more of those. I've got tons. I don't make any money of those guys. They're just, it's drone type, right? It's money for jam, right? The compliance, because they know they're tax, right? Tax accountants do tax, right? But if I ask an accountant, where do you really get the nuts and bolts? Where's the real value that you deliver? Well, the real value is in planning and structure and looking at the long-term play of the investment or the growth to minimize the liabilities and then maximize returns for the business. So to operationally, from a financial perspective, to give them a much stronger structure to build to. Now that kind of sounds exciting to me, but most people, when they look for an accountant, they're not looking for that. They're looking for somebody who can help them with their taxes. Right. So my question is, what are we going to offer? How does Facebook have an impact on a tax accountant? Hey, you want to minimize your liabilities, you want to minimize your risks, and you want to make sure that you're moving forward in your business. So if you want to do that, we have the ability to be able to show you a path that's going to give you at least a more stronger opportunity and a better outcome, which is essentially what you want for your business. Minimize that liability, minimize the risk, make sure you're trending and tracking and profiting in the right way. That's what we do as accountants. There's my simple offer for an accounting firm, right? You want to get it right and you want to make sure that you're not overpaying, right? That's essentially the common message that most people want to hear from their accountant, right? So we're going to use Facebook ads to get leads, new prospective customers. What is the sales process for an accountant? Well, sit down with me for an hour. We can see what's going on. At the end of the day, I'm going to show you how we work together. I'm going to charge you two different ways. Normally, the average client's going to spend about $3,000 or $4,000, business client, $3,000 or $4,000 on tax preparation, right? For the year, your average fees for me is 1% of your revenue. This is what you pay if you pay for an accountant. At $10,000 a year, if you're running $1 million business, that's your fees, and we'll make sure that you're not paying too much. Right? And that's what you're going to do. You're going to sit down and go through that conversation. Their cycle is, great, let's fix your problem. We'll take care of your taxes, make sure you're online, you're aware, you get to sign documents, we'll fill in the forms, we'll deal with the IRS, hunky-dory, you're okay. Pay your check, everybody's happy, right? That's essentially the sales process. Now, if I asked an accountant, how do your clients know that you do auditing? Well, it says that on our website. They can find out that we do auditing. Yeah, but who needs to do auditing? Does the guy who runs a $40,000 liquor store on the corner, does he need to do auditing with you? Oh, no. The types of business they do auditing us are business like $5, $10, $15 million. So what is a client paying for that $5 or $10 million business for auditing? Well, the price starts at about 30 grand and it just keeps skyrocketing from there, right? That's another service. So of the number of clients you deal with, how many actually take you up for auditing? And they might say, oh, funny you should ask that question, maybe 3% or 5%, right? Not a lot, right? But if you looked at your clients that fit the criteria, $5 to $10 million or more, how many of those can benefit from auditing? Well, geez, we've got another 30 clients we can go to, right? So understand what is the value, the dollar share. Would I run Facebook ads to promote auditing services? Maybe not. But would I run retargeting ads to add value to that idea? Maybe yes. A lot cheaper, a little bit more effective once I've got you in my cycle. So how do I impact on revenue? I impact on revenue by introducing an offer for people to take advantage of. And on the average, the client is going to spend up to $10,000. If they're $1 million business, they're going to spend $10,000 a year. Right? So your wallet share per annum is 10 grand. Your lifetime value, how long? The frequency, does a client stay? The third element, well, every new client we bring in, on average, the client is going to stay between 5 and 8 years. So if you just do flat compliance at 1% of revenue at $1 million company, that company is worth $50,000 to $100,000 to your practice. So every time we introduce a client at that level, they bring in, so every new client, so if we bring 10 clients in a month that fit that value, we've just added $1 million worth of asset value to the business. And you've only paid 3, 4 grand, 5 grand for that. Good return on investment? Hell yeah. right? That's how you demonstrate value, what you do, right? So for every client we bring in, it's not the value that they buy up front, it's the value they're going to bring into the practice. And you know what the client's worth. Once they're with you, they trust you, you're with them, you've got the numbers, very hard for them to change. So what is the lifetime value, right? So lifetime value of a $1 million client to an accounting firm is roughly between $50,000 and $100,000. So here's the question, right? If I knew that, I could use that as a hook. Hey, if we were introducing clients that would invest 10 grand a month, every client on average is worth 50 grand. Can we work on a strategy together to bring you clients that will invest $50,000 to $100,000 in revenue in your practice just for one service? Yes or no? How many accountants do you think would make an appointment with you to figure that one out if you made that offer, right? So now I understand what my impact of Facebook is of attracting a client. I understand what the impact is from a revenue point of view per client. I understand the frequency, what the true value is if I bring clients into the practice. And get this, here's the kicker that everybody forgets in marketing. But the kicker is in the accounting firm, an accounting firm will say 50 to 80% of our clients come from word of mouth. So for every 10 clients we introduce you to a practice, you get another 5. So for every $1 million worth of lifetime value, or every $500,000 worth of lifetime value that we bring you, we add another $250,000 to $500,000 on top of that, right, in your business. So let me ask you, Mr. or Mrs. Accountant, if you were to invest $5,000 to $10,000 a month to pick up that $500,000 million, are we good? Right? All day long, all day long. But that conversation will only occur if you actually understand what I've broken down. I could do exactly the same thing for a roofing company. I could do exactly the same thing for a plumbing business, or an engineering firm, or a construction company, or a remodeler. You can do exactly the same math, the same idea, right? Only their frequency of purchase might be longer, extended over a period of years, but they may refer. You open the door to generating referral, you still open that frequency factor. It's how, so think about that from a business point of view. Now, I know that we're supposed to be talking about making appointments, but this is designed to help you to actually make more appointments, because the more you understand about the problems that people face, and the more you understand of how the business works, the easier it is to have that conversation saying, well, if you don't get these elements moving properly and they're not kind of working out for you, probably the best thing to do would be to sit down and say, hey, how can you solve that problem? How can we eliminate any stress of the loss or the lack of consistency in engaging or bringing customers into your business? And in the online digital world, you are the masters of the universe. That's why they hire you, right? So the easiest way to make an appointment is to understand the problem and say, if you've got this, is it worthwhile just having a brief conversation to make sure that maybe you can eliminate this? I would imagine you'd want to talk to a smart cookie who knows how to solve the problem, right? You know that you're having, and ultimately, perhaps you haven't worked out how much it's costing you, but is it worth sitting down looking at what that might look like for you? Yes or no? It's not, it's very difficult to say no to a logical yes question, right? It's stupid to say no to that question. Of course we can talk, right? So understand, from an appointment generating system, the number one thing is you need to know your bananas, right? You got to know your stuff, because if you don't know, and this is where people get unstuck. This is where the people who are trying to get into the game, this is where they completely screw up, because they've never spent enough time talking to, understanding. This is why people say, John, what's the best niche on the planet, the hottest niche? And I'll say this niche. And I'll go, well, what do you know about them? Nothing. Well, now we're going to spend the next 3 months trying to figure them out, right? Well, you don't need to spend 3 months. You can probably figure them out pretty quickly, right? But they're like, oh, I don't know. But you asked me for the best niche on the planet. I'll give it to you. Here it is, right? People have been like, I'll tell you some of the best niches, and you're not going to like them. Some people go, oh man, I don't work with these people. Financial planners, massive niche, massive growth. Insurance, massive niche, massive growth. Real estate at the moment, massive niche, massive growth. Look at the health market, right? All the health practitioners, massive market. Things are changing, things are moving. They haven't adapted and shift, and they need you, right? Then there's one of my favorites is manufacturers, factory direct. There's this little tiny company in Southeast Asia. Don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Alibaba. Mini company, right? Tiny company. Now, Alibaba distributes for 300,000 manufacturers direct to customer out of Southeast Asia. Go to Alibaba.com and you don't have to buy quantity. You can buy one item proof of concept and have it shipped and delivered anywhere in the world direct from a manufacturer, right? It's called Alibaba Express, right? Now, that's a factory selling you direct. I've bought from those factories and the product has been great, right? I've had fantastic products from those factories. Now, manufacturing in the Western world hasn't figured this out yet. So you want a niche that needs to be online, that needs to e-commerce, that needs to articulate and message and bypass distribution channels. Manufacturing is huge. Nobody's tapping into that niche. And let me tell you, every time I've spoken to manufacturers and say, hey, you ever want to go direct to market and bypass the traditional channels and speed up the sales cycle? Would that be something that you think might be useful to volume trade from your manufacturing business? And the first thing I say, how can we make that work, right? How do we make that? How do we do the e-commerce? We don't know what we're talking about. We're manufacturers, right? But give me direct access to a customer that can order online and I can ship direct at cost-effective prices. Hell yeah, I'll listen to your conversation, right? I've been to many trade shows, and unfortunately can't go to trade shows where I've asked manufacturers that exact question. I saw there was a company that manufactured DNA testing kits, right? And I said to the dude, I said, mate, you're running this stuff through channels, through hospitals and through traditional laboratory type structures. What if you can go direct? Now there's this little company called 13DNA. Don't know if you've ever heard of it, right? A little company that's has a $6 billion market cap at the moment, right? They went ballistic, right? Mass DNA testing. Here's a DNA manufacturer who's going old school. What if we could go direct to the market? Would that be useful? The guy said, dude, how do we do that? Right? Manufacturing, direct to customer, online marketing, super, super powerful. Big ad budgets. They've got big inventory. They've got like big cash, right? So they've got money. You people say, hey, what's a niche that's got money? That's a niche that's got tons of money. They wouldn't be in the business if they didn't. They need tons of money to operate those structures, right? So another one that I love, which is kind of blown up a little bit because of COVID, is the destination retail to direct, right? So destination retail people we can't drive to, but we can search them online, right? Those guys need to get their e-commerce together because they've got assets. They've got money tied up. They've got sales teams. They need leads. They need customers to buy, and they need them online. Factory direct, showroom direct, big markets, niches, multiple niches in those niches. So you want hot markets. I've given you 11 hot markets right there. 11 hot markets. I'll be answering questions in a moment, Rajesh. 11 hot markets there. But the biggest question is, and these are the 3 questions that you have to answer. 1, do you like them? If you don't like them, then you're not going to work with them, right? That's number 1. Do you like this business model, right? You're either in love with what you do and how you deliver what you do, and that will convey to help a client, or you like the business and you want to help the business. So do you like them is a big tick, number 1. Number 2, can you help them? Can you get a result? Yes or no? That's what you need to know, right? That's number 2, right? And number 3, will they pay, right? So do you like this business? Can you help them get a result? And will they pay, right? Now, the answer to those questions, I can't answer the first one for you because that's a personal thing, right? The second one, can you help them? Well, that should be a yes for all of you. You should be able to help them with your strategy if you understood what the problems were. The third one, can they pay? That's the one you kind of need to know about, right? So how do you figure that out is, where are they spending money on what you deliver right now? Are they spending money on that right now? Are they spending? We don't want to be a pioneer. We want to work with people who are spending money on what we do. So only talk to companies that invest in money on marketing. Are they advertising in mainstream media? Are they advertising online right now? Are they spending money on SEO? What do their search capabilities look like? Where are they spending their money, right? If they're spending money on marketing, then the answer is yes. Can they pay? They can. How much are they spending? Really easy to figure out how much they're spending. Look at the competition who serves the market. That's how you find out if they're going to spend money, right? So if we know that we like them, we know that we can help them, and we know they can pay, there's your niche. You've got a perfect niche. You just got to pick one that ticks all 3 boxes, right? At the liking part, you either like what you do to get a result, love getting results. That's a good thing, right? Or you want to help, you really genuinely want to help this industry. I have so many people who want to help dentists for some reason, because they're not helping dentists because they like dentists. They want to help, I don't know. I don't like dentists, right? In the teeth, drilling, hurt, pain, right? They're the pain merchants, right? By the way, I have a wonderful dentist. I love, she's amazing, looks after me, pain-free. Imagine the dentist guaranteeing no pain. The only way to do that is to knock you out completely. But dentists, like people say, yeah, dentists. Now, the reason why people choose dentists, right, is because they think dentists have money, right? They think dentists are flush with cash. They're not picking dentists because they want to help dentists grow their practice. They're picking dentists because they think the dentist has enough money to pay them for the ad service that they're delivering. Now, get this. I'm going to give you some truth here, right? In the health niches, the average chiropractor changes their marketing company every 30 to 90 days. The average chiropractor changes their marketing company every 30 to 90 days. You know why? Because our industry sells, try me out for a month. If it works, we'll keep going. So you tell the customer right up front, you can leave at 30 days. So what do? They don't get the result, or they don't get enough of a result, they leave at 30 days, right? The second scenario is you tell them you can leave in 3 months. Well, we need to work on a project, and that project is a 3-month project. And once we figure that out, and if you like what we do, then you're going to stay longer. So what happens at the end of 3 months? Perceived indifference, results are sort of skewed, communication's been poor, so they leave every 3 months. Right? So, and I know this because I work with people in Champions who serve this market, and they tell me people leave every 90 days. So stop selling 90-day programs, stop selling 30-day programs, start helping develop the practice, and you'll keep the practice, right? So, and this is why they'll churn clients, right? Which tells me that they kind of don't really like the market. They're just trying to make money, right? There's nothing wrong with trying to make money, but you're building a business. And if your clients leave you every 30 to 90 days, you're going to be out of business really fast because you're always trawling for brand new customers. I've seen people in this market, in that niche, lose an entire client base in 1 month because they had this try me out for 30 days or try me out for 90 days. They were literally traveling along in October last year, November hit, boom, they went from $100,000 a month in revenue to $10,000 a month in 1 month. What happened? They all left because we told them they could leave in 90 days, right? That's what happened, right? Because they just played paint numbers, and it doesn't work that way. That's not sustainable, and that'll tear your hair out, right? So a couple of things just to recap here. We worked out that you can spend money on ads, lead ads are cheap, and you can play the game. You're going to spend between $80 to $200 for an appointment. 5 appointments, worst case scenario, you're going to close 1 deal. It's going to cost you between $900 to $1,500 to generate 1 client. And if your average sale is $1,500 a month, and let's say the client spends 3 to 4 months with you, you're going to make between $4,500 and $6,000, and you're going to spend $1,000 to buy that customer. That's a fairly good acquisition cost. We know exactly you can play the game, and you can build a really nice, solid business doing that, because you can actually build a database of customers that are interested in your service. And as long as you do your bit and follow up and follow through, the thing that your customers don't do, you will very successfully scale your agency, because you're going to hire people to deliver, you're going to hire people to sell, you're going to hire people to scale. That's paid traffic, and you should always aim to put in a paid traffic system somewhere in when you've hit a certain trajectory of revenue. I would probably invest about 10% of gross revenue into advertising, because you've got plenty of margin to do that. So if you're making 20 grand a month, I'd be throwing at least 2 grand a month into ads. If I'm making 40 grand a month, I'm going to be throwing 4 grand a month in ads. If I'm making 100 grand a month, I'm going to be throwing 10 grand in ads, right? Because I know that I'm going to generate the outcomes, right? So advertising is something, if you are in the game of Facebook or AdWords, please tell me that you're running Facebook ads and AdWords ads for yourself. Please tell me you are actually selling, doing the very thing that you are selling to clients. Because if you're not doing the thing that you're selling to clients, then you shouldn't be selling your stuff to clients, right? You shouldn't be doing it, right? You should be eating your own strategy, right? Because if you're really good at it, that means you're good at it yourself, right? Pretty simple to generate ads. So, couple of things. So we've talked about a few things here. I will answer some questions in just a moment. So there's 2 aspects that I want to talk about in terms of being able to secure appointments relatively easily, right? So the number one thing is we've got to find our own compelling offer. We've got to find our own compelling offer. And we need to understand what is the key problem that we are actually solving. And a lot of people think that leads is the problem they're solving. That's not the problem that you're solving. That's not a problem, right? That is an effect, right? What is the cause of the lack of the leads is what we're really solving, right? And the other thing is what we're looking towards is it's all very good bringing in leads, but how do we make sure that we're maximizing the conversion of those leads? Or how do we make sure that leads are being managed? So if you are a lead person, if you're selling leads, or if you're selling lead management, right, you need to understand what the problem is. And the problem for people who are selling leads is by selling leads in and of themselves without understanding the quality of that lead or why that lead is interested in the service, what's going to happen is you're going to get a whole bunch of opportunities, but they're never going to be realized because they're not managed in a proper way. So your lead generation, this is the cycle of people leaving you, is because the system or the strategy is wrong. So that is a problem. Having the wrong strategy is a very big problem for a lot of companies that want to generate leads, right? That is actually their number one problem, is they've got the wrong strategy, right? The second thing that they get wrong is that they have a very poorly optimized sales process, right? The second thing they get wrong is their ability to manage the lead is poor, right? There's no accountability. There's no metrics, right? They're not measuring what's going on, right? And they're not focusing on the right things. They're not focusing on the behavior of the customer, right? So this is where the strategy is wrong, and then the conversion, the optimization of the ability to handle the opportunity is not working. Those are the two reasons why leads fail. So if we know that, and this is why if you're just lead generation and nothing else, you're going to be churning customers, because the customer's always going to say to you 100%, and it happens to me, hey, John, the leads that you're sending me, they suck. They're not converting. They're terrible leads. We can't seem to close any sales. This is not working, John, right? But when I start asking the question like, great, let's pull out some leads here. Did you speak to Mary? No, I haven't spoken to Mary. Did you try and call Mary? Yeah, we tried to call her once, but we didn't get through. Right. Mary wasn't waiting there patiently, just waiting for your call. She opted in 3 days ago, and she had to wait 72 hours by the phone, waiting for your guy to pick up their phone and call her so that she can buy your stuff. That's how it works, right? Oh no. So you only tried it once. And what did you do? What did you do with Mary? You forgot about her, right? Okay. How's that working for you? Right? Not working. So we've got the lead, but we don't even know if Mary was the right customer because we never got a chance to talk to Mary, right? So the management of the lead, it's not about the lead sucking, it's the fact that our ability to follow up or the ability to manage the lead isn't working, right? So we need to fix that first. The second thing is we need to know that Mary's the right person, right? What are we doing do we manage that process in our lead flow, or is that process managed by a human being, right? Hey, thanks for calling, Mary. You're interested in our customized sofas. Just to help you a little bit better, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions just to make sure that we put you on the right track to making sure you get the sofa you're looking for? You cool with that? Does that happen? No. So how do you help Mary? What do you do to her? Well, when we actually get hold of Mary, we tell Mary to go to our website and pick the sofa she wants and hit the order button, and away you go. How's that working for you? Right? Does Mary go, oh, thanks so much. Appreciate it. You mean I can go to the website, pick my sofa, and just click the button, pay the $3,000, and the sofa just magically arrives? I can do that? Why am I on the phone with you? Right? So the process is not working. That's the thing that we know. Here's how we highlight the problem, right? If I know that this is the problem and I can highlight these as an issue for a prospective customer, then it's really easy to have the conversation, because they're going, hey, you get it. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this crappy lead stuff. Right? So that's an easy opener, a door opener to generate an appointment. What is your door opener? That's the key, right? What is your door opener is what you want to be looking at as part of that process. There is a structure, and I'm hoping and praying that this is going to work, because let's see. I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to go a little techie here. So I'm going to bring this up. I'm hoping and praying that it's going to work. No, it's not going to work. Of course it doesn't. So let me just do this again. Okay. So we're going to do this again. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. Just please be patient while I set this up. I already had it set up, but for some reason she didn't work. So let's go and try again. And yes, we do. Okay, so I'm going to take you to my iPad now. So I'm going to open my share here for a second. Do the sharesies. And you just give me a thumbs up if you can see my iPad on the screen. In fact, I can see that happening on the interwebs right now, I think. That's working properly. Yep, we do. All right, so if we're looking at this scenario, I like to call it, it's a really simple structure. It's almost like you can have a conversation with somebody like this, and it's a really easy way to sell or to step people into buying what you have to offer, right? So there's three scenarios that we're trying to solve here, right? 1, 2, 3. So the first thing is we've got to identify the problem, right? And then the second thing is we need a framework, right? And we've got a promise. So if we use this framework, we get an outcome, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to go from the problem to the outcome, right? That's the direction we're going in. So I'm going to pick on a business, and let's go and pick a roofing company. Let's pick a roofing company. I'll give you an example of this process, right? So for example, so roofing company problem, okay? First of all, the quality of leads. We buy leads from a whole bunch of other people, aggregators, and we don't know if they're ready to buy. We're just buying these leads randomly, we're filtering through, and we're paying lots of money for these leads, but we have to work hard, but the quality of lead is very poor, right? So the quality is poor, right? Second thing is we don't get enough of them, right? So there's not enough, right? We don't get enough. And another challenge that I might face in this scenario is that conversion's terrible. The conversion's poor, right? So quality lead, very poor, not filtered, right? We don't get enough of them, and our conversions are really poor, right? So what's the framework, right? The framework is, if I was to do a little bit of Venn diagram, the framework that we need is we've got to have a strategy to attract the client, right? Then we have a strategy to filter the client, and then we have a strategy to convert the client. Now, the conversion so that's three things, right? We've got to attract them, right? We've got to filter them, and we've got to convert them. So we need a system, right? A system. And we want to put that system, we want to focus on some form of automation, right? Some form of flow or framework that actually makes it work. That's what we're trying to do in this process, right? So in the framework, what we're trying to do is, okay, so we've got to have the right strategy. So let's put strategy down here. Right? We've got to have the right strategy. So we're going to run a Facebook ad campaign. So let's do box number 1 is Facebook ads, right? And those Facebook ads are going to lead into, they're going to be managed instantly, right? We're going to run an ad to a landing page. So LP, right? We're going to run an ad to a landing page. That landing page is going to identify what they're looking for. We're making a direct offer, and we want them to respond to that offer, right? When they respond to the offer, right, we're going to manage the lead. They're going to right as soon as they come, they're going to be managed straight away. They're going to get an email, and they're going to maybe have 2 or 3 pieces of information. Number 1, we're going to welcome them to let them know that they've chosen the right place for their roof. Number 2, we're going to explain to them what the process is to get the right roof. Number 3, we're going to provide them with the incentive to at least take the next step with us, and that is to make an appointment. So the lead is managed instantly at the front end. So I'm going to put ML here, manage lead here, right? And so the managed lead might be an email, it might be a text, it might be a voice drop, right? Voice drop. Okay, so these are the things that are going to happen when the lead's managed, right? The next thing is now the customer understands the process. So the customer schedules an appointment. So S for schedule, right, in your booking calendar. Now, when the customer schedules, right, sometimes there's got to be some follow-up. So once you've done your sales process and you've provided a quote, the system now follows up to maximize conversions. Now, remember I said you want a system that attracts clients, you want a system that filters clients, and you want a system that converts clients. So if we have this framework here and the flow, what do you think is going to happen? Right? Every lead is managed. Right? Every lead is managed. You're never going to lose a lead. It's managed, right? You've got a database of customers. The second thing that's going to be the promise, right, is you get first shot at the lead. You own the lead outright. First choice. Not shared. Right? Remember up here, quality of leads, having to buy them, share amongst a whole bunch of other roofing guys. You get to own it. That's number 2, right? Number 3, now you've got a system, right? And you've got a database of clients. And if we do this job right, what we can do here is we can only sell or retarget our campaigns to the very people who are interested in our service. We're not going to be marketing to anybody else, only to people who are interested in what we have to offer. So we're only going to put our offer in front of people who've put up there, shown an interest in what we have to do, right? So we've got a retargeting aspect, right? So we've got a system that builds a database, and we've got a conversion element, right? Where we've got the right message. So number 4, our message is being delivered to an interested buyer, right? Now, number 5, and this is the kicker, right? You now, by putting the system in place, have a measurable KPI and return on investment. You can see exactly where the lead came from, how the lead was managed, what you did with the lead. Did it turn into a paying customer? Did it not turn into a paying customer? You have, for the first time in your life, a completely transparent, manageable, measurable ROI system, right? So if we know what the problem is and we have a framework that we can show, at the end of the day, my question to you is, if we put that system into place, what do you think the impact will be on your business? Will you be better off doing this, or will you be better off continuing what you're doing now? Which would you choose? This is the easiest sales pitch you're ever going to make, right? Easiest sales pitch you're going to make. So you can say, hey, in your appointment offering, right, you can say, this is what the problem is. Know what the problems are. These are the problems are, right? We see this. Now imagine you had a process to solve that problem, right? A framework to solve that problem. And then roughly, this is what the framework looks like, right? What you're showing is the what, you're not showing the how. What is this process? Why is it important, right? Why is it important, right? Right now, you don't have this process. But if you were to have this process, what difference do you think it would make, right? It'll be huge. If we can get this right, it'll be massive, right? Imagine never losing a sale. Imagine every deal being followed up automatically, right? Imagine every lead knowing exactly what to do next. Imagine every interaction has been responded to, and the driving factor is to get them on the phone with your salespeople. Or we can actually get them on the phone with your salespeople here at the landing page stage, right? You can do a call drop. Hey, just click this thing. It'll put you through to one of our team members and say, hey, Bob, we've got a call on the other end of the phone. Just press 1 to accept the call. And I'll go, yep, I'll accept the call. And now you've got a direct lead to the salesperson. Every lead is managed in real time. That's powerful. You own the lead. That's powerful. You build a database of customers that have the propensity to retarget, remarket to bring back into the sales cycle. That's powerful, right? This is a proper lead generation structure. Now, you might be a person that does this part of the structure and you're really good at that, right? Or you might be the person that does this whole structure, or you might be the person that just does this piece here, the second piece here, and not the front end piece, right? That's three different things. You either do one part, you do all of it, or you just do the other half. Those are three different businesses, three different solutions, right? In what you do. There's three different offers that you can make as part of that process, right? So this is a simple process. So if we know what the problem is, if we use structure or this framework, right, it's one of the easiest things. It's almost like a napkin sale. You're literally showing them what the problem is, what the framework to solve that problem is, and what happens when you've solved that problem, right? What happens when you solve the problem? So we go from problem to framework to promise. Problem, framework, promise. So to set an appointment, imagine if you say, hey, can I show you a framework that eliminates the challenge that people are having with getting customers in, having a structure and a framework that ends up with these 5 indicators. Is that something that would be useful to you right now? You can create, like I've just done this to you live, you can create a video. You can do this, what I've just did to you, or you can get a little bit fancy and stick it on a PowerPoint, right? And make it look a little bit more special. Not have chicken scratch like I do. I should have been a doctor, I know. Right? Okay, so that's the structure of what's going on. Okay, and that's if you talk to people and say, can I just share this with you? Is it worth sitting down and figuring this out and how that can work for you? That's all we do all day is we look at what the issue is, we build the framework, and we show you exactly the outcome you're looking for. Ultimately, we want to bridge the gap from what's not happening to actually making sure that you actually get the result that you're after. If that's something that would be useful to you, can we get on a call? Yes or no? There's a direct script and a direct offer that you can make to the marketplace, right? Now,
John,
let's talk about
what's that last box in the middle framework that you just erased? After the manage the lead, then they schedule the appointment. And what's that last one?
This one here?
The last one in the framework section.
Follow up. FU.
Okay.
Follow up. Yeah. This one here is follow up, and this one here is phone to salesperson. PS. Sorry.
Oh.
PS.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So if we're looking to, and I want to, because I know there's a few questions around this. We've got a few people in the chats, and I just want to be able to answer what you said takes a linear approach to a geometric one. Thanks, Miles. Appreciate you saying that. Lifetime value, thank you. If we were looking at a factory direct or a showroom direct to help them build a e-commerce store with an app place where their customers are spending most of their time, how do I approach this market across niches? Rajesh, there are too many questions in that one question. There are too many questions in one question because you're assuming that they see that is the solution. My way of approaching the factory direct market is to sit there and say, hey, first of all, right now, can a customer come to your website, inquire, get a quote, and buy a product from you? Now, can they do that? Yes or no? If they can't, then maybe that's the first step. Because to go from there to an app, you're assuming that the customer is going to download the app. That means the customer is either going to buy regularly. So my question is, how are they going to download the app? Why would they download the app? Are they the only supplier in the world? No. So what's going to make them unique? There's too many questions and too many barriers of entry to answer that question in a way that's helpful and useful to you, Rajesh, right? So, you're asking that question there, that is the wrong question. The question you should be asking is right now, what are they doing? And then ultimately, what would they like to be doing is, have you thought about doing it this way? Have you thought about going direct to market? What would that look like for you? Well, we don't know. We normally deal through a distributor. Okay, well, who buys your product? Where do they buy the product and why do they buy that product? What are they searching for? Then you can start to look at things a little bit more strategically and say, well, if I was selling your product to market, I would be advertising or promoting in these areas or in this way, instigating the buyer's journey. And this is how you make it really simple. And if you want to build an e-commerce thing, Well, that's layer number 2, right? It depends on the factory. If the factory is producing widgets and it produces multiple widgets or multiple ranges, well, that lends itself to an e-commerce structure. But the question that you're asking me, Rajesh, is you're making some assumptions around complexity, right? You're making assumptions. What you got to do is go right back to the beginning and say, how does Alibaba sell direct to market? What are they doing? What do they got? They've got a site, you make an inquiry. Once the inquiry, they feed back to you, they start the sales process. So they're automating the process. Mark says, I want to offer only sales maximization services, so only help them convert people that show interest for their services. Can I use this? My answer to you, Mark, is of course you can use this process. Be careful about sales maximization as a word. That's your terminology. The marketplace doesn't say, I want to maximize my sales. What they say is, we just want to get the result. We want to see improvements and increases. We want clients that buy. We want clients that convert. We want clients that stay. If you can help us clients buy, if you can help us to get clients to buy more, if you can help us have clients to stay, right? Then yes. So Mark, without going into it, yes, you help close more deals. Great. You can reach out and say, hey, can I get on a quick phone call to have a quick chat to you about how we can close more deals for your product category? That's a direct offer to generate an appointment. Perfect, right? Hey, I'm not interested in selling you stuff. I want to sell more of your stuff, right? Can we have a conversation of how we can close those deals on all the deals that you leave open? Are you cool with that? That's a great offer. Go direct, right? In terms of what we do, okay? So getting back to the concept of having consistency. So the idea is we're going to build a system, right? We're going to build a system. And right now, social media gives us direct access, right? So, oops. So we have LinkedIn, right? We have Facebook, we have Instagram, right? We have Instagram as a channel. We have Twitter, right? That's another channel, right? Some people are using Clubhouse, right? Some people are using Clubhouse, the new social media channel that's just blown up all over the world, right? Some people are using, so social media allows us, or channels allow us to do one thing. The first thing it allows us to do is to connect, right? The second thing that we want people to do in our process of making appointments for us is we want to get them to put their hand up. I'm interested, right? I want them to put their hand up, right? Then what we want to do is we want to start a conversation, right? We want to start a conversation. Right? So to me, in social media, this is a chat message, right? Chat message in social media. We can chat on social media, right? So the idea is, where do our customers live? Do they live on LinkedIn? Do they live in Facebook groups? Are they on Instagram? Do they have a following on Twitter? Is there a channel that I'm using on Clubhouse, right? I know there's a whole bunch of other myriad, but these are the main areas that most people engage or interact with, right? To me, the clear front runners for me are these two channels, right? Facebook and LinkedIn are two of the biggest channels for generating B2B clients, right? So remember this framework, right? Connect, raise the hand, and conversation, right? And this, leads to an appointment, right? This leads to an appointment. So what we're doing is like this. Now, there's a whole bunch of tools you can use. I don't want to go into the tools, right? For those of you interested in knowing a little bit more, I'm actually doing a client acquisition plan. I can show you in a client acquisition plan exactly how to automate this entire process. I don't want to go into the weeds of this. I just want to keep this really simple, right? So Facebook and LinkedIn allow us to connect. If you're using LinkedIn, I would highly recommend you use Sales Navigator. If you're using Sales Navigator to search for the people you're looking to and targeting in your audience, right? One thing that I would do in Sales Navigator, when you're looking for leads in Sales Navigator, I don't want to go into the whole structure of it. It's pretty easy to use. Based on the number of connections that you have, there's a tab, and it's generally the fourth tab over. It says posted in LinkedIn in the last 30 days. The tab that says in Sales Navigator, when you've got your list up, is posted in LinkedIn in the last 30 days. The only people who are posting LinkedIn are people who are looking for customers. They are spending money, time, and energy on marketing to customers in LinkedIn. That's why they're creating content, video, information, posting. They've got people in charge of doing it. Those people are looking to acquire customers, right? So the people who are posting are the people that they would be the first people that I would connect. The reason why I say use Sales Navigator allows you to send hundreds of messages, but it allows you to accept at least, I think it's 22 people per month. 22 engaged conversations per month is what it allows you to connect with, right? So what you're doing is you're doing the connection piece on LinkedIn, and the hand raise is I'm happy to converse. I'm happy to have the chat, right? So to me, what raises people's hands? What are you going to offer them to raise people's hands, right? The best way to do this is, I've got this. Do you want this? Yes or no? Remember, we talked about the messaging in the training yesterday, right? Hey, do you want this? Yes or no? Reply yes if you want this, or no, you don't want this. If a person replies yes, then you can give them the thing that they asked for, right? So that way you're now starting a conversation, right? So let's say connection here, right? In between the hand raise is your offer, right? In between the hand raise is your offer, okay? Is your offer. So what's your offer? We talked about a whole bunch of things yesterday of what your offer was, right? Hey, there's this thing right here that I just showed you. This is an offer. Hey, would you like to see a framework, blah, blah, yes or no? And the person will say yes. And so now they've raised their hand, right? Now they've raised their hand. And then from here, we want to start the conversation, the chat, right? So I'll give you a perfect framework for this, an example of this. First of all, you can reach out. I'm going to use Facebook as an example. I can reach out to people on Facebook and say, hey, we're in the same Facebook group. Thought we'd connect. Can we like, right? Hey, we're in the same group. Can we connect, right? So that's the connection piece in Facebook. The next thing is, hey, let's say, for example, I'm dealing with Shopify stores, right? Shopify stores, I'm in a Shopify Facebook group. And I'll say, hey, are you a Shopify Plus user? Yes or no? Because I want to serve people who have large e-commerce businesses. I only want to work with the Shopify Plus people, not the standard Shopify people, right? So I'm asking the question, zeroing in to the target audience, right? I want to deal with Shopify Plus e-commerce businesses. So are you a Shopify Plus user? Yes or no? And if they say yes, right? Great. What's my question? What's my next question, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to lead to maybe we should get on a call and have a bit of a chat, right? So I'm going to ask questions like, hey, right now, is your conversions going up? Your conversions going down? Well, conversions are going down at the moment. Okay. Is it because the ads aren't working, or is it because the shopping cart's failing you? I think our ads aren't working right now. Great, right? So you can ask an either or question through the chat. Now you can there's several programs that can do this, but one of my favorites is a new one. It's called AMO CRM, AMOCRM.com. AMO CRM allows you or a team member to have dozens and dozens and dozens of conversations in real time without actually going into your social media profiles. So you can have your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, you can have it all linked in to the CRM. And anytime somebody makes a response, it automatically appears in the CRM. So you can give this system to your team member and all they can do is just respond to the messages. And remember the messaging that I said yesterday that you could use where you can ask direct questions, do you need help with? You can intersperse these types of questions in this type of chat. And oftentimes, if you connect with 20 or 30 people a day, start 10 to 15 conversations just in chat, you can actually automate the process. And ultimately what I'm finding is it takes roughly 6 to 8 chats, 6 to 8 responses to actually book an appointment where they go, yeah, let's have a chat, right? So they kind of get to know you. So the way the cycle works is you want to do a little bit of a give. Hey, we're in the same group, let's connect, right? Hey, by the way, are you this or are you this? Yes or no, right? Yeah, we are, right? How's it going, right? You can start that conversation. And what you're trying to do is let's talk, right? Hey, I've got something that I've put together. Would you like to have it? Yes or no? Yeah, I'd love to have it. Great. Here's a link. Hey, by the way, you'll notice in the thing that I sent you, it talks about this thing. Love to be able to have a conversation, or would you like to hop on a quick call to chat about that? Yes or no, right? And then you can basically have that person agree or accept in that process. So what we're doing here is we're chatting, it's kind of chat by appointment, right? Or chat to appointment, yeah? But we're using social media. The beautiful thing about social media is you can automate this whole process. AMO is only one program. There are several programs that can manage your social interactions. I love this program because it manages in real time. Anytime somebody makes a comment, anybody responds to a message, it immediately pops up in the CRM and it flags, and then you can actually respond in real time. You can also automate your responses. That's the other beautiful thing about this system is you can set up automations for the responses and it takes them down the path of leading to an appointment, right? So I'm finding with this type of strategy, if you're connecting with about 50 people a day on social media, and you can actually fire off an automation to do that. You can use automation to fire off. You don't have to do this physically. Generally, you'll start about 15 to 20 conversations. I generally find that about anywhere between 8 and 12 people will actually engage in the conversation. Out of 8 to 12 people, you should be able to make at least 3 to 4 appointments out of every group of 8 to 12 people, right? On average, you should be able to generate 1 to 3 appointments per day on autopilot. 1 to 3 appointments per day on autopilot. And now you have this system is a system where people are opting in. You're not actually having to pick up the phone and call. They're accepting and agreeing to your phone call, right, in that process. So this is how social media is a very powerful way to do that. Messenger is also very powerful. Because we're using Facebook, we're using Messenger. Once people connect, you can ask the question in Messenger. Once they accept you in Messenger, you start the conversation. So you could be talking to 15 to 20 people per day, right, or more in this process. And the idea is if you're using something like AMO to manage them, you can actually manage the conversations. You can actually use it like a deal flow. So you can see where people are getting close to making an appointment. So that's basically how you leverage or how you can automate your process of appointments. One thing that a lot of people don't use is they don't use scheduling software correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight, I'm just trying to open up a thing here just to give you. So okay, so I'm just going to see if this works. Share. Okay, so right now you're seeing a Calendly screen, right? And in that Calendly screen, it says select a date and time. This is for a PT. If I was targeting a physical therapy practice, I would set up a Calendly and I'll say, hey, here's welcome to a practice session. This is dedicated to 3 core aspects of your practice and growth: attraction, acquisition of your clients, maximize investment per client in your services, enable clients to invest in multiple services. Sorry, this is not for a PT, this is for an accounting firm, right? So if I was to select a time, it's going to ask me a series of questions. And this is the thing that you want to use in your automation. Don't ask, you'll notice that I don't have a lot of fill-in questions. There's only really one where these are one-word answers. These are fill-in, there's one fill-in, but I like to give people multiple choice, right? Which of the following services you provide, you can ask very clearly what they do. in that process. The next thing I might ask is how many people or how many partners do you have in your practice, right? 2 to 3. Now, if they answer 1, and that's not really my ideal client, I'm going to direct them to something else. If they answer 3 to 5, then I know I'm talking to a sizable practice, right? So what percentage of business is tax compliance related? They might say 60% of my business is tax compliance related. So I know the average spend of a client is going to be between $3,000 and $10,000 a year for $1 million customer, right? What percentage of revenue growth is important to you to achieve over the next 12 months? Percentage. I want a 30% increase, I want a 50% increase. That's going to be a rough idea, right? Of which of these areas are you investing in marketing right now? Sponsorship, magazine, Google Ads, Facebook, events. Where are you spending money? So I can qualify them. You can use your scheduling software to qualify the process. But what you want to do in your automation is provide multiple choice, right? Don't get them to fill in a lot of information. Try to keep the questions short and punchy, make it easy for them to respond. This gives you a little bit of context, a bit of understanding before you talk to the client, right? What's the average a business invests in your services annually? And notice I'm using range of price, not an exact dollar value. I'm just saying, roughly give me an idea, 3 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 plus, right? Or other, right? What percentage of clients are investing $6,000 or more in your services? 30% of our clients are doing that. Okay, so good mix, right? What types of clients would you like to work with and what services would you like them to invest in? Well, we want to work with business clients that are roughly $1 million or $2 million. So I'm getting very specific, right? I always ask for a phone number in my calendar scheduling. If your scheduling software allows for a phone number, please ask for the phone number. I don't make the phone number mandatory, but I'd like the phone number, right? And then they hit schedule. It's pretty simple, right? If you want people, if you're doing emailing, you know, the email and the messages I talked about yesterday, if you want, let's just going to stop sharing here. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to open up a different screen to just show you how that works. Right, so getting back to where you guys are. So just to give you a perspective, one way to use your scheduling without getting people into your schedule in a way that they have to click on a link, what you can do is embed available times in the email. You should be able to see this on your screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see appointment with John. You've got it. Okay, so you'll notice here it says on February the 17th or February the 19th, I've got a few times available. If you're using schedule once, time trade, Calendly, it allows you to take the times a couple of times and stick it embed into the email. I find if you're going to send a message and you want people to book an appointment, don't send a calendar link. Don't send a calendar link, right? Send this instead. You'll notice below, right? Please select the time that works best for you. And it takes them directly to a time. I normally try and give them a couple of options in my scheduling. I don't want to have loads of options. In this case, I would probably do 4 rather than 6, right? I only do 4 rather than 6 times. But if you actually put it in there, it's much easier for them to just grab the time, right? I prefer to just, my optimum preference is to give 2 times, this time or this time. So no paradox of choice, right? And if it doesn't work for them and they haven't booked, I'll offer another 2. Obviously, the last 2 times I gave you might not have worked. What about these 2 times? So it gives you the follow-up opportunity. So you can automate your process of embedding times into your email by utilizing your scheduling software, right? Having automation is key. The follow-up to the automation, really important. Show-up rate to appointments are abysmal if you don't create some indoctrination. So one of the things that you want to do is when they've made an appointment, you want to acknowledge very quickly, hey, thanks for making the appointment, really appreciate that. Looking forward to it. By the way, I've just shot you an email. It'll give you a little bit more information about us, what we do, who we help, how we help, and what sort of results we get, indoctrination. Or I've got a little quick video that's going to explain some of the concepts we're going to be sharing on our call, right? Or I've got a 2-minute video that says this is the most that this is what you're going to expect to get out of our conversation. I look forward to seeing you there, right? So you use a little bit of a relationship build and indoctrination after they've booked the actual appointment. That's what I would want to do, right? As part of the process. So if you do these couple of things, you're going to greatly improve your ability to handle appointments, manage appointments, and maximize your opportunity to keep getting them, right? Remember, I said yesterday, the only reason you're not making appointments is you're not committed to making appointments. Once you're committed to making appointments, you're going to make appointments. That's the big thing. So I want to answer some questions. For those of you, and I know some people, I know Miles, you jumped in on this. I know a few other people did, but if you go to calljohnlogar.com, if you go to calljohnlogar.com, what I'm doing is I'm actually doing a planning structure for appointments for those who want to have that. I'm happy to work with you to give you some focus, a little bit of clarity and some structure around consistency in your appointment setting. Just go to calljohnlogar.com. You can book it. I don't have a lot of spaces for those who are watching this somewhere. I don't have lots of time availability. So I will grab, if you want to grab it, right? So make sure you book it. So if you go to calljohnlogar.com, you'll be able to hang with me. Ivan, I'm not sure if you made that call or made that selection, but I'd highly recommend it. Brandon, Mark, Chris, Bill. Other than that, I'm going to answer your questions. Ivan, that's using Calendly, but time trade, schedule once, even I think the appointment setting in Kartra is working right now. There's so many different appointment setting apps that you can use in the system. But I like Calendly because it's kind of flexible, works well. It's nice and simple. You can brand it. You can select what people choose and adjust your questionnaires. I find it really easy to use. I get the paid version. I wouldn't use the free version. The only reason I use the paid version is because I don't want powered by Calendly all over it. I tend to put my brand on it. Like if you went to calljohnlogar.com, you wouldn't see Calendly. You just see Consulting Unleashed and whatever I'm asking, whatever you can do. And the only thing you can do on that page is book a plan on this appointment structure. That's the only thing you can do on the page. So I'm directing people. You can direct people to exactly what you want them to do on the actual appointment structure. So hopefully that answers your question, Ivan. Anybody got? Yeah. Any other questions? Don Ferguson, good to see you here, as always. Looking good, very handsome. Bill Dyer, smiling back at me. Any questions? I'm happy to answer questions. Miles, we've got a question.
Yeah, just real quickly, checking the market yesterday.
Yeah.
A particular cyber security company received $120 million private investment. Mm-hmm. Seems like a golden opportunity, and the PR Newswire mentioned that it was for operations and marketing. So,
mm-hmm. Right.
A lot of the stakeholders are on LinkedIn. Got them targeted.
Yep.
So, because everybody's using cybersecurity, right?
How can you help the cybersecurity company, Miles? What service do you have right now that is going to give the cybersecurity company exactly what it's looking for? What do you do?
A leg up into industrial partners that would require that high level type of cybersecurity services.
So you're talking about creating that connection for that conversation? Yes. So when you say creating a connection, are you doing a direct introduction or are you doing lead gen?
I'm in LinkedIn, and so
you're going to basically fill their appointment calendar with the right connections. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's a pretty good offer. So you can the offer that I would make to those guys is say, listen, I don't know who I need to talk to. First, got to find out who you're going to speak to. But number one thing is you need to have a conversation with people who need to invest in your security solutions. The people that want to invest in those solutions are going to be CTIs, CIOs of companies. If I were to sit down and look at a strategy to introduce you to CTOs or CIOs of manufacturing, engineering, or commerce companies, would that be helpful to you, Miles?
Absolutely.
There you go. There's your conversation starter. And then you can say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do, right? This is what our goal is, right? I'm a rainmaker and a connector with high net worth or high level C-level individuals. I've got a framework and a process that does that. If that's something that might be useful to your company, it'd be worthwhile just getting together and having a bit of chat and getting to know each other. Easy peasy.
Too easy.
So go and pick the top 50 cybersecurity companies other than the ones that have got investment. And by the way, I would not mention that they've received this capital or this investment. They've obviously made an offer to get funded. So they're in the right pocket. Enough people were confident enough in their capabilities in the market. For me, what do they want, right? What are they not getting? At that level, those types of companies, they want really high level conversations. And by the way, they'll pay a lot of money just for one conversation. They'll pay a lot of money because they know cybersecurity companies, so this is a really big ticket item. Cybersecurity companies are long-term relationship. Average relationship for these companies to get a big deal could be anywhere between, at the low end, it would be 6 months, but generally it takes about 12 months to 18 months to close a deal with clients. But the deals are they could be worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. So yeah, is it a niche market? Absolutely. Can you put them in front of C-level executives with a strategy? Absolutely. Do what they're not willing to do for themselves. Yeah. So, how quickly can you get a C-level executive to agree to a meeting? That's the goal, right? If I can get 5 or 10 of those a month with you, how much would you pay me? Like some of those companies, would probably be happy to pay $1,000 to $2,000 for every introduction. I know. One of my champions, Dan, charges $1,000 to introduce ad agencies to clients with $500,000 plus budgets. $1,000 just for an appointment, and they guarantee 10 appointments a month, and it's 10 grand a month, and they've got to sign up for 6 months, minimum 6 months. So 60 grand per client. So I'll put you in front of a client that has a budget of $500,000 to spend on marketing. That's what they do. That's what they find, and they use LinkedIn to do it. In fact, they don't even do it. They outsource that service to somebody else that actually does it for them, right? So that's their promise to their clients. I'll put you in front of $5 million a deal per month.
And we'll produce results, so we're not going to be a 30-day wonder.
No, they've got to stick for 6 months. But most of their clients, a lot of their clients have stuck for like 3 and 4 years, because you've got a guy who's pushing in $5 million worth of deals every month. That's going to turn into money, yeah. Yeah. So that's why they charge, and the minimum charge is 10 grand per month. You've got to cough it up in advance, and you get 10 opportunities, and each of those opportunities is worth $500,000 or more. And so they've got a really targeted way of finding clients with those budgets.
John, last thing, yesterday you mentioned something new. You approached the conversation. Mm-hmm. I applied that, and I got an appointment. He's filling out the form, insurance. Now, I like your shortcut awesome, because you cut down two things like that. So I got that. And at 5 a.m. this morning, I had another phone call to Finland. Talk to the CEO. So I'll talk to the CEO. I tell him, hey, I got a 30, 60, 90-day plan to help improve your tech support.
Yeah.
Would you like something like that, or you want to keep on doing what you're doing, full of problems?
Yeah.
So I thank you for kicking us in the butt, so to speak.
You got 2 appointments already from yesterday. That's awesome, man. Well done.
Yes. So I want to get 2 more by Sunday when we meet.
That's it. 4 opportunities in a week. One of those is going to turn into a deal. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bill, John, so does Kelly allow you to put a few time choices in it? Absolutely. If you can put 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, but I would probably choose a couple. Bill, absolutely. If there's a little button that you can just click and cut, it says email, and then you just you pick the dates, you can pick the times, you can eliminate the time, just set it right there. It's really easy. It's fantastic. It's just a copy paste, so it copies it straight into the email. Doesn't matter what email service you're using, but you can use it on the email. So yes. So if you haven't already, let me just, for those of you, because it's only going to be up there for a little bit. You can book time. Just go to calljohnlogo.com, and I'll actually give you a structure and a plan for your appointments. I'll show you the cool stuff that I've been working on that's getting some amazing results. So questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. Otherwise, I'm going to say thanks for being here. I'm going to go paddleboarding. Thanks, Miles. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Howard, got any questions? Daniela, you got any questions? Ivan, you got any questions? You're all sitting there intently looking at me.
Yeah, I'm
Bill,
curious,
Mark.
John.
Yeah.
I beat stepped on somebody there. I'm just curious if you can
No,
speak more to the automation of the outreach messages.
So
Can you hear
look, there are several tools that you can use, right? What I've walked through, you can actually set up that automation without using any tools, right? You can actually just get a VA and say, hey, I need you to make these are Facebook groups that I'm in. I need you to make 20 connections a day, right, or 50 connections a day for the invitation. The invitation is, we're in the same group. Love to get, it'd be great to connect. Will you accept me? It's pretty simple. We're in the same group. We're in the same club, right? Be nice to just connect, right? Yes or no. It's a really simple. There's none of this LinkedIn connection rubbish. It's just a simple, hey, we're in this group, right? If let's say, for example, I'm in the e-commerce market and there is this thing called Shopify Entrepreneurs, right? If I'm in e-commerce, there's this group called the Shopify Entrepreneurs. Anybody with a Shopify, like the only way you can join Shopify Entrepreneurs is, well, why you would join is you're in Shopify, right? You're using Shopify as your e-channel, right? So if I'm an e-commerce marketing specialist, I'd hang out in the Shopify Entrepreneur group. And my response would be pretty easy. Hey, we're in the same group. It'd be great to say hi, right? Will you accept my friend request, yes or no, right? They say yes, right? Because you're in the same group. Majority of people, if they're watching, they look at the thing, oh yeah, I'll accept a friend, right? So they say yes. So the next part of that process is, hey, are you a Shopify or are you a Shopify Plus user? Oh, I'm a Shopify user. Okay, great. That's awesome. How's it going? I'm a Shopify Plus user. I want to work with Shopify Plus because Shopify Plus users are running multi-million-dollar businesses, right? Who's got the money? So I can zero in to my target niche audience just by doing that, right? Now that CRM that I talked about, AMO CRM, allows you to automate thousands of conversations at the click of a button, right? So you can connect that to your Facebook account. And if you're a member of a particular group, anytime that you connect and they respond and they accept the connection, AMO is going to go, bing, Donnell just accepted your friend request. And we've sent her the introduction message to say, hey, thanks for doing this. Are you a Shopify Plus or are you a Shopify? So you can automate the whole process that way. The cool thing about using something like AMO, and I'm not saying there are others, there's like, there is Group Track CRM is another one that's really good. Group Track, that tends to work in Messenger. AMO works with multiple channels and it links in. The thing I love about it is it's like Trello board. So you can manage all your conversations like a Trello board, right? So you can preset all your communications based on where a person's at in the communication piece. So the automation is just done based on setting up the chats, right? Not unlike ManyChat where you can preset conversations, right? However, with AMO, you can have a more structured conversation, right? So that's just an example. I have other software that we use as proprietary that works really well to do that, but I'm just selecting that one because it tends to be an easy one to use. Yeah. So yeah, you can automate that entire process through AMOCRM.com.
Thanks so much.
And the cool thing is, Daniela, I don't have to get my team into my accounts. They only need to be in the CRM. So all the communications and all the conversations are all managed outside of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, it's all managed outside. So I can give access to my CRM. If they do chats and conversations or replies to postings and that sort of stuff, it all happens in the CRM. So the CRM automatically allocates an account, right, to the conversation. So you can see in real time what's going on and your team can just go, hey, you handle this group of leads, you handle that group over there, and you have two people managing thousands of conversations. It's really
very cool.
Right?
Thank you.
So the problem we have is we have to. So traditionally, my team would be in my LinkedIn account, my team would be in my Facebook group, my team would be in my Instagram and my Twitter. They're all in my accounts, and they have to be in there as me. They have to sign in as me. And so one way that I mitigated, and I hope whoever is listening from Facebook on this One way to avoid getting flagged for multiple logins is to have a VPN where everybody logs in from the same location. So all our team use a private network, the same private network in the same location. So if we all log into Facebook, it looks like I'm logging in from Seattle or logging in from Los Angeles or logging in from San Francisco. Everybody's logging in from the same place. That way my account's not going to need two-step authentication and say, hey, somebody's trying to get in your account that you shouldn't be, then you're getting all that rubbish with Facebook, right? So that's one way to avoid that. But now, using this particular solution, they don't need to get in my accounts. All they've got to do is opt into my CRM, and it makes all the conversations there. That's the beauty of using a tool like AMO, right? So no more, oh man, it's like, oh, I've got to change the password. Oh, none of that goes on anymore. It's all like, hey, it's all in one place. And the beauty is you can actually see exactly what's going on, and you can map out the flow of your conversation. So you can actually visually, the user interface is quite good. There are other services. Pipedrive can do this if you set it up a little bit more complex to set up. Group Track CRM is another one, but that's mainly just for Messenger. It's not a Messenger of Facebook. It's not so much for other profiles. But there's heaps of ways to do this. But that's one tool that's pretty cool. It's not very expensive, pretty inexpensive actually. But you can manage up to 10,000 conversations a month.
Very cool. I was missing this piece. Thank you.
I don't think I can have 10,000. Yeah, I don't think I can have 10,000 conversations a month. If I employed enough people, I might have, but I don't think I'd ever I would have that many chats unless I had a massive team to manage them. So yeah.
John, I have a follow-up question on that, on AMO.
Yeah.
Can you do the initial outreach from AMO, or do you have to be doing that?
No, I'm using, we have a system that we're using for the outreach. It's a process. For those of them who are in our programs, they actually have access to that system. So what the system does is it operates like a human being. It's an automation, operates like a human being, makes 50 connections a day. Facebook doesn't know you're doing this. You're literally ripping people out of Facebook groups. So the Facebook group moderator has no idea that you are actively engaging the list. That's the beauty of the system. From there, it opens up that conversation. As soon as the conversations open up, it automatically, AMO sees the acceptance. As soon as they accept, they automatically jump into AMO. And AMO goes, oh, new person, here's the first, and you literally fire off the message automatically. So you don't have to do that. Yeah.
So I'm using integrated, or you're using Zapier or something?
No zaps. I don't need any zaps. I'm just using these. As soon as the connection is made, AMO picks it up straight away.
Cool.
AMO goes, hey, and and this is the cool thing. So now speaking in tongues, right? Speaking in secret. What AMO does is it automatically creates an account, a CRM account for that person. So it's like they're in your database. And get this, email. You can extract email into it, which is really cool. So yeah. So one of the strategies that we use, and just I guess sharing, one of the strategies we use is we go through the process. So we have an agency in the SaaS market, and so what we do is we try to get them. We're inviting people to join our Facebook group, right? Our Facebook group. So our conversation is not like, let's get on a call. It's like, hey, we share ideas for SaaS companies. We've built this community over here. Inside this community, there's these 3 or 4 key trainings that people love. If you're interested, just jump on over. And we probably see about 10 or 15 people a day jump into that Facebook group. Well, as soon as they jump in the Facebook group, they've got to give us their email. When they get the email automatically goes straight into AMO. So now we don't have any opt-ins. We don't have anything. We don't need any of that. We have the email in the CRM. We can just email direct. So now we have Messenger and email. And what we do is we send the same message to Messenger and the same message to email. So if they don't pick it up on Messenger, they'll pick it up in email. If they don't pick it up, if they pick it up in email and they pick up Messenger, they're going to get a double hit, right? Then the real cool thing is that we work towards extracting their cell phone number. That's a whole other strategy. right? Because once you've got your cell phone number, that's it. I got your email, I'm texting you, I'm messaging you, I got you, right? Then once I got your Instagram profile, now you're really screwed. Because now I'm DMing you on Instagram, messaging a messenger, got you on text, and now I got your email. So I'm going to hit you 4 times, right? Now, if I hit you 4 times, you're going to know who I am. Yeah. That's when you get that working in unison, that's putting things on steroids. That's putting things on steroids.
So,
Yeah.
so this is a proprietary software that you got?
I have a relationship with the founder of that software, and I've actually released that software to our key champions and our key people in the Clients Unleashed process. So yeah, so we're giving away 750 free initial contacts.
Right.
Free. So it's like a 2-week trial thing. Yeah. So yeah, but there's a framework that we use, and we actually give people a framework to use. Normally takes 6 to 8 questions to get people to make an appointment. Once we've got the appointment, then you're in your sales process, right? But we're finding, like right now in our system, we're seeing. I'm just thinking of Melanie right now. Melanie's making 4 appointments a day for our salespeople in automation. She's just managing that. She's spending. On a contact sheet. So she spends about 2 hours a day. So she's spending 2 hours a day, and we get 4 appointments per day so far. And that's as we build the momentum, that's just going to get bigger and bigger. And it's going to get more and more. So the situation we're finding ourselves in just by using these automations, we'll probably get to about 10 appointments a day in the next 6 weeks. Will be 10 appointments on average every day. So that's 50 appointments. That's 70 appointments a week. That's 7 days a week. 70 appointments a week. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. But the thing, right? You manage and you control the flow, right? Like it's not, a game changer for most people, especially those who are watching this training. If you were picking up 3 clients a month, right? You'll be building a very significant business fairly quickly, if that makes sense, right? If you're doing 3 clients a month, Howard, and think about what happens in a 3-month period, and if you structure it right, okay, that's like a massive game changer. Yeah, that's going to force you to scale. Like it's going to force you to hire, right? So as soon as you, one of the biggest challenges, there's 3 challenges most people face. How the first challenge most people face is their messaging isn't right. It's not clear. They've got to get a really clear message and a really clear offer. That's number 1, right? And part B of number 1 is being confident in delivering that outcome, right? Part B is being confident, right? So you can say, this is the problem I solve. This is how we solve it. If you saw when I graphically drew out that framework, right? Problem, framework, solution, that I know how to solve the problem, right? I'm giving you, I'm letting you know that I can, having that understanding, I am demonstrating to you that I confidently know how to solve that problem. Would that be fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's part B. Part B is that you have to have the confidence that you can deliver to the client, right? And one way to do that is to be very clear in that message, right? So that's number 1. The second piece in the puzzle is we need appointments, we need conversations, right? So how do we get conversations? Well, we can run ads and we can figure that out, and that costs money and that takes time, and we're going to dial it in. But ultimately it does work. But most people are afraid to do that. Most people are afraid to run ads, right? Because they think they're either going to get overrun by appointments, which is not a bad thing, or they're just not going to convert, right? They don't know how to convert the sale. So that's going to be a problem. So how do we eliminate that problem? Well, we look at a really simple strategy that most people are amiable to, is having a process where we allow the person to step into an appointment. All we want to do is just want to have a conversation to see if you're the right fit. We want to qualify them, right? So do you like the idea? Is this something that you might be interested in? Would you be willing, are you willing to invest, or can you handle this type of investment? Do you think this is something you're interested in doing now or something doing later? Right? Very simple, right? Qualify the person. Well, no, I like the idea of this, and yeah, we can handle that investment. And yeah, this is something we want to do now. Well, if that's the case, if I could show you a plan, if we can get really clear about your objective, we can get very clear about why that's important to achieve as an outcome, and we can figure out why that's not happening and work on a process to deliver a plan that's going to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. Would that be something useful? And if you like the idea, is it okay if I walk you through how we can partner up and help you achieve that result? Would that be good? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. So now let's go through that process, right? You don't have to be, you know, your presentation, the thing that I showed you, that's a presentation. That's a pitch, right? Like a napkin pitch, no slides, no crazy, you know, pitch deck or anything like that. It could be as simple as, hey, this is what's going on. You need a system and a process to do this. So let's look at the simple puzzle, the 3 steps to get that done. 1, 2, 3. Great. Well, what does that look like? Well, we need to build a system, and the system looks like this. 1, 2, 3. There might be 7 or 8 steps in the system. Now, if we were to do that, what would happen right now? Well, we're going to be better off than where we are right now. Right now, we don't have that system. If you had it, what would the difference be? Well, if we got that working, that'd be amazing. We don't, you know, what we're looking for. I've had people say to me, John, we've been looking for this forever. Right? Well, great. We found each other. Right? Let's get this into place. Right? And so let me walk you through how we can get started. Is that okay with you? Yeah. So what do you think we should do? We know what the problem is. We know we've got this process. We've mapped it out. These are the outcomes that you're saying that you want to have. What do you think we should do, Howard? What do you think we should do with that? Should we do it, or should we get started right away? Let's get started right away, and that's the sale. Right? Let's keep it really simple. Now, I know, Howard, there are going to be a bunch of questions in the middle of that, but you're going to handle those questions, right? You're going to go, look, at the end of the day, I'll give you a framework. I can show you the mechanism, right? Here's a demo, boom. All we need to do is infuse your structure into this operational system, right? And then we've got numbers. We can track, we can measure. Right now, can you track, can you measure? Do you have reporting? No. Well, we can give you that. If you can get the reporting, we can figure out how much it's costing you per sale. We can figure out how long it's going to take to make a sale. We can figure out how we can improve margins or increase. If we can do all those sorts of things, would that be helpful and useful to your business right now? Yes. So what do you think we should do about that? What do you think we should do? And they're going to go, we need to do this, right? You already said you can handle the money. Are you cool with the money? Yep, we're good. Great. So what have we got to do? Oh, I got to get started, right? There's nowhere for anybody to go if you've answered their question. You understand the problem intimately. You understand what it takes to fix the problem, and you understand what the outcome will be, or what the outcomes will be when you've solved that problem, what the promise will be. So naturally, what we now have to do is we have to take the first action and get us started. Because the bottleneck is you, not you, them. The bottleneck is you don't have the system, you don't have the process, you don't have the support, you don't have the infrastructure. That's us. That's what you're buying us for. Now, if I look at ROI, right? If you got a 3-to-1, would you be happy in profit? I would be. Most people would be. You go 3-to-1 for most people, I go, yeah, I'd be absolutely delighted if I get 3-to-1. Well, I know the people we work with at Danelli, you've had this happen where you've had a 5-to-1 or a 7-to-1 or a 10-to-1, right? Like they're okay with 3-to-1. What happens when they get 5-to-1? They'll be naming their first child after you, right? You know, so the key here is you have to be enthusiastic about solving that problem. That's it. You have to be juiced up about getting that problem solved. And they're going to go, okay, you got me. Let's do this, right? You know, I just signed up with an agency. The reason I signed up with this agency was because he was juiced up about getting it done. Now, whether or not they can or they can't get it done, well, we're going to figure that out pretty quickly, right? But I'm willing to go because they've got a belief or they've got a conviction that this is the strategy, this is the way to get it done, and they're going to get it done. Yeah. So yeah. So is that helpful, Howard? Yeah. Yeah. Did you try and make some appointments yesterday or today?
Actually, I put together my indoctrination page.
Okay.
And
okay.
I bought a list. and I bought a list, and so now
Okay.
now I'm looking at, now I have to sort of switch up my offer a bit, because I was thinking of GMB, and now I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm back to the exactly what you just did the framework on is basically what I'm selling.
Yeah. So what I want you to do, Howard, is just go and make the offer now. Just don't think about it. Just go and make the offer, right? Are you interested in looking at a framework that's going to give you these types of outcomes? Yes or yes or yes. Yes or no, right? Just make the offer. Forget about getting prepared. Forget about crafting.
I know, I'm the duck.
Just
I'm the
make
duck.
the
I know.
offer. Forget the duck, right? Just do the do, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what's, look, Miles, man. Miles is making 4 appointments since yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't need an indoctrination piece. He didn't need that. He just went, I made the offer, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the piece that holds us back. Remember what we're committed to. We're not committed to creating the pieces. What we're committed to is getting the appointment. So all we've got to do is ask the question: are you interested in this? Yes or no? Right? Would this be useful? Yes or no? I love that one. Would it be useful? If you know it's useful, it's going to be useful. Would this be useful? Yes or no? Yeah, it would be. Of course it would be, right? So that's what you're trying to get into the cadence of. Just commit to making 2 appointments a day, and you'll make 2 appointments a day. That's all you got to do. Nothing else. Don't worry about indoctrination. That's something, you've built it now and it's done, so you're going to send it through. That's great. But if you just commit to saying, I'm going to make 2 appointments, that's what you're going to do. You're going to make 2 appointments. If you commit to getting contacts and leads today, then you're going to get contacts and leads, but you're not going to get appointments. We commit our team, like our goal is that our team members, if they're investing 1 hour in engagement, they have to make 1 appointment out of every hour. So if I've got a team of 4, then that's 8 appointments an hour. 4 appointments an hour. If they spend 2 hours doing it, that's 8 appointments per hour a day. Yeah. You should be able to generate 1 appointment per hour. If you can't generate an appointment an hour, there's something missing. You're not doing something right. You're not focused on the right thing. So yeah, so you're gonna, at the end of the day, you've got to offer, and you've got to offer off, and you've got to keep. This is the game that you're playing, right? If you can, like I've just shared with you a process and structures of how to automate this process. But I would like, you'll notice that I'm speaking that I'm getting somebody else to manage that process for me. I don't want to manage that process. I don't want to be on the phone making appointments. It's just, I've got better things to do. Right? There are other things that are far more important for me to be focused on than making appointments. But I'll hire a team to manage that process relatively inexpensively, because that's my cost of acquisition, right? I got my cost. So it's costing me right now for an appointment. I checked yesterday. It's costing me $7.35. It cost me $7.35 to make an appointment. That's a whole lot cheaper than $200 an appointment. If you work the numbers. So 10 appointments are going to cost me 80 bucks. 10 appointments going to be $80 for 10 appointments. Now, if I'm terrible at selling, or my team is terrible at converting, they're going to convert 1 in 5. Well, what's that going to be? So 80 bucks. It's going to be 40 bucks, $40 for a $100,000 sale. That's insane. I need to hire more people. I need to hire more people to play that game. Yeah.
Well,
So,
I figure I got to get my script down. I got to get my rap down so I can train people. How you get your script down, Howard? Don't get your script down. Just have the conversation and record the conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Just have the convo. Yeah. And one thing I'd highly recommend all of you do, and you'll hate this. I hate it. I hate listening to the sound of my own voice. That's why I don't like watching my videos, and I don't like listening to my audios. I hate the sound of my voice. I don't know what it sounds like. I know some people say it's very silky smooth, and some people say it's a bit cartoonish, or I have a funny accent because I come from a funny land that has a lot of animals that can kill you. But I hate listening to it. However, in saying that, I record every phone call. The reason why I record every conversation is because there are things that come out naturally. In that there's a cadence, there's a rhythm, and there's information that's relevant, and it seems to happen
on every call. So if it happens on every call, we take those pieces out and we say that's part of the conversation. So now I can give that conversation over to Claire, who actually has those conversations for me, right? She doesn't have my same voice. She doesn't have my same swagger, or, she has her voice, right? So she infuses my framework in her voice, and then she generates the same number of outcomes that I do because she's following the process. But the way to get there is Claire has listened to a lot of my recordings of those conversations, and so she's got, okay, I get it, and now she's having conversations. I'm listening to her recordings, right? She sounds way better than I do. She's got a much better voice than me, and so now I can hear why she's making the appointments. So now I'm going to take Claire's recordings and I'm going to hand them over to another person. Say, listen to Claire, right? Listen to these recordings. So scripting, yes, you're going to have a framework for what you say. There are certain things. In fact, one of the things that we do in the triage is we have a 6-step framework that we've recently implemented, and it's gangbusters. If you follow this little framework, people just literally step into wanting to have the conversation. So it's a really, really simple system to follow. So we've had people using it and they're literally getting an 80, 90% close rate on appointments by using the framework. Really, really good, right? It's almost like the person's really wanting to get to that phone call. So we use a triage process, a 2-step call, and it works really well. So people have been using it and it's killing it right now. So and it's just it's like allowing a person to naturally step into the next logical step. That's the idea. There's no coercion. We're not manipulating. There's no tongue fu, right? In that process, all we're trying to do is are we in the right place? Does this fit for you? Is this important right now? Is it, do you think we should take the next step? Yes. They literally jump into the process. And it's the same in the sales process. If we can eliminate all the objections up front, and we can be very clear about the objective, very clear about the resolve as to why it's important. If we're super clear about the bottleneck not happening right now, and then we can be the planner and the integrator, what do you want to do, right? It's like this logical, they're stepping into the next logical step of the process. They're doing that themselves. You're not doing it. You're just allowing them to step through, right, by the way that you question. So it's a much easier. So there's no pressure. There's no, apprehension. It's like you're just following a natural progression in a conversation that allows them to go and you're answering all the questions because all the questions are answered in the process. So they're literally just like, okay, this makes sense. Yep, we should do this. And the people that have been following it, Howard, have been killing it conversion-wise, right? Because and it's really weird. Every time they try the old way, they start to step out of it, or they try something different or shortcut it doesn't work. Every time they step back into the framework, it's like, okay, great. Well, the next step is let's do it, right? So it's it's working. It's working really well. So, any questions? If you've got a question, happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to say thanks for being here. Hope this was fun.
Question, mate.
Yes, Ivan.
Just in and around just that initial cold outbound, what do you find is, like, obviously you're wanting to focus on the pain point of whoever you're approaching. What do you find is the best way to build rapport and trust? Because I think that's kind of that, once you kind of break that through, especially if you don't know the person, obviously if it's someone that you kind of know or know of, it's easy to break the ice. What do you find is, what kind of messaging do you find best to use around that?
So the easiest messaging is let's get to know each other, right? Hey, this is what we do. This is what we help with people. Not sure if this is something to you, but is it okay if I give you this? Yes or no? Like, can I give you something? I'm more like, what is the give, right? So oftentimes I say, hey, look, most people interact with this first time. This is probably the most popular thing and it solves this problem. So are you interested in getting this thing? Yes or no? They go, yeah, I'll take it, right? So it's a soft ask, right? So once you've asked the question, now I never ask the question, did you watch it or did you read it? I never ask that question, right? What I'll do is I'll ask an either or question, like this or this, right? So I might ask, if I was in the e-commerce space, I might ask, what type of Shopify user are you? Are you a Shopify Plus person or are you just standard Shopify? And the person says Shopify Plus, right? So great. Are you noticing buyer behaviors increasing right now? Are you seeing conversions or are you seeing lags in your advertising marketing? Up or down, right? They go, oh, I'm going up right now or going down right now, right? What's the biggest bugbear? Shopping cart abandonment or not enough traffic? Shopping cart abandonment or not enough traffic? Not enough traffic, great. Hey, might help you with the traffic thing. Is it okay? Yes or no? Yeah, here it is. Great, right? And then so hey, is it worthwhile, I normally talk to people about conversions. Is it worthwhile having a chat about conversion improvement? Like I was talking to somebody today, they've got this really simple system, which if they plug it into the front end of the Shopify business, that within like 6 weeks to 12 weeks, they just see this incline conversion rate, right? So they're literally saying, look, we've been helping our guys do this thing. We've got this front end thing that works really well to improve. And we see in a 6 to 12 week cycle, we see a 20, 22, 23% increase in conversions. And we're starting to see some significant impact. Is that something is it worth you having a quick chat about that? Are you interested? Yes or no? Yeah, I am. Okay. By that stage, if you've had the give of a little bit of information and they've had an interaction, then you'll find that that's how you're building rapport. You're literally trying to get the person to the stage of, hey, let's have a chat, right? We talk to people. It's a good way to introduce each other. We help people with this. I don't know if we can or we can't, but it'd be worthwhile sitting down because we talk to people all day long and we know what's missing. So is it worth us having a conversation and meeting? Yes or no? Yeah, great. Book a time, right? So what you're doing is you're gradually building that rapport. And you're doing it as if you're having a natural conversation. You're not doing it like, you're not forcing it. This is what most people do, is they try to get married too quick, right? The fear that you've got to overcome is that fear of I'm going to be sold to, right? That's the fear. What's going to happen to me, right? So what's the worst thing going to happen? You're going to waste my time. You're going to pitch something that I'm not interested in right now. And I don't really know you, so I don't know if I can trust you. Right? I've got to overcome those three things to get a person to be comfortable on the phone. Let's get to know each other, right? So, for example, I'll give you an example of the agency that sold me, right? So this agency, I just signed a massive agreement with them, and this is how the sales process went, right? They said, listen, at the end of the day, this is the result you want, and we want to focus on performance, right? And outcomes, but to be able to do that, we've got to have a conversation. Is it worthwhile us talking about performance-based process? Yeah, absolutely. Great. Tell me what's going on. What's working? What's not working? How's it working? Where are you at? What do you really want to do, John? Well, this is what I want to do. If I can get that done, we're golden, right? So then he comes back to me and says, well, I'll tell you what, let's remove the risk here, right? First month strategy, you're going to pay for that. It's 15 grand, right? If you're not happy at the end of 30 days, I'll give you 15 grand back, right? Now, you've got to give me another 15 grand on top of that to run a test on the campaign, right? So you're going to commit to 30, right? Are you good with that? Now, if we can get that rolling, we've got the test right, then we'll take the next step in the next phase. So are you willing to commit 30 to take it to the next step? And you got, worst case scenario, you say no, we'll give you 15 grand back. Are you cool with that? Took away the fear, made it logical, let's go, right? Now I'm not committing to 30 grand. I'm actually committing to more.
Yeah.
I'm committing to 1.2 million is what I'm really committing to, right? But to get things going so that we can get to know each other and we're on the right path and we're doing the right things and I'm doing the right things, like I'm the one that's responsible at my end and they're responsible at their end and it's working in a partnership. To do that, this is the first step that we take. Now they've qualified me, right? They've qualified me with the money. If I put the 15 grand down and the 15 on ad spend, they've qualified me, right? So now they've got their end of the bargain or their part of the process to make sure they work the process. Now, so far, it's pretty good. Like I can see that we're heading in the right direction. Yeah. Now, if it doesn't head in the right direction, I can say, you know what, let's call it quits. And I've got my money back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's how they're eliminating the fear, right? They're using that, you know, that 15 grand is before a single ad is even launched.
Yeah.
Right. You know, no ads yet. Right. But then we go into the next commitment when we run the ads, and that's what we're going to run the test with. At the end of that test, we're going to see what's going to go. We're going to do a brief and analysis and work out a scaling strategy, right? As part of that process. To me, that's a logical step, right? It's the next logical step. So how do they get me? Cold. They approached me with how did they approach me? Oh, Facebook outreach. They approached me in Facebook. They friended me, and then they asked me a question, and they did to me what I do to other people, right? So it works on me, right? And the sales cycle from the initial time that they contacted me to the time of the sale, Jesus, it was less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was cold. I had no idea who these people were. I'd never even heard of them. And here I am, you know, committing to 30 plus. Yeah.
So it's almost like kind of reverse engineering a Facebook ad for cold outreach. Send them something they're interested in or something that solves their problem, and then take a conversation from there once you've broken that barrier.
Yeah. Well, the other part of that psychology. So think about the framework, right? I just need you to raise your hand like you're interested, right? First, I've got to connect with you. So do accept the fact that we can connect on Facebook. Yep. Great. Hey, let's get to know each other. Are you interested in this? Can I give you this? Yep. Great. I'll give you this. Hey, what's happening right now? Do you do this or this? I do this. What's happening over here? Well, you know, this is happening or this is happening. Great. Hey, is it worthwhile? You know, we don't know each other. It'd be really good to connect. Talking, yeah? Is that cool? Yeah, hop into my calendar. When you've hopped in my calendar, let me know you've done that. Great, you've done it. Awesome, great. Let's looking forward to it. Hey, I want you to check this out before we get to that appointment, right? So they get to know you a little bit more, right? And great, I'll see you there. And then you got a few follow-ups. So you can say, hey, we're on tomorrow. We're still good. Just type yes on the messenger to say we're still good, and we're getting that interaction. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
And away we go. Yeah. So with cold, the turnaround time, if they're on if they're on Messenger, it can be pretty quick. It can be pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah. So and we're finding right now, and even through the people who've been using the system in our system, it's normally about eight messages, and they've got an appointment in our system. Yeah. Yeah, using our framework. Yeah. So on average, you should be able to, like, I reckon it took us less than a month to get to a situation where we were making one appointment per day. It took us like I think by about week 3, we were making one appointment per day. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's pretty fast. It's pretty fast. And now once we got the appointment, what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate. We're trying to qualify. The cool thing about the system we're using is we're actually targeting by a niche. So we can actually, we know the niche, we can actually extract the person in the niche, and we can extract the identifiable, the identifier of, you know, they're the owner, they're the decision maker. That's what we're doing in our system. So we can get the decision maker and we can extract from niche, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Thanks, John.
Yeah. So yeah, mate, jump on my calendar, mate. Go and grab a call with John Logar.
Yes.
Jump on the calendar. Be worthwhile having a chat. Yeah. So with that, thank you for hanging with me. If you want to grab that plan with me, just go to calljohnlogar.com. Otherwise, I'm going to see you on the traps, on the next lives and the next trainings. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate you hanging on the Facebook groups and the YouTube channels. And if you want to have a chat, just go to calljohnlogar.com. And I've got a couple of spaces there if you want to have a quick chat with me. Again, thank you. Hope this has been supportive and helpful, giving you a whole bunch of ideas. Love to get some feedback. If you're in the groups here and you're commenting, love to get your feedback on what we've been sharing. Other than that, I'll look forward to seeing you on the interwebs. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, John.
Thanks, Howard.